Welcome to the Stay at Home special. It's a beautiful day outside today. Sun is out, only a couple of clouds floating around. Be a great day for a walk or hell, maybe even a drive. The only problem is there's really nowhere to drive with the stay at home order, but maybe just a nice random drive would be nice, except I know a car that gets on everybody's nerves, everybody's nerves, everybody's nerves. I know a car that gets on everybody's nerves, but you never have to worry about gas. 2009 Toyota Prius. I've owned a lot of cars now, and out of all the cars I can think of, this one for sure I can say I've never really considered owning before. But with a substantial commute now, fuel economy has honestly taken a priority, even with the fuel prices coming down recently. So that is the main reason why this vehicle has rolled into my life. But beyond fuel economy, there are a couple of other things that I find interesting or that I like about the Prius. One thing is, I actually like that for a mid-sized vehicle, I feel like there's a lot of room and overall size to this car. I feel like I've got a lot of good headroom, and it's just, I feel like I can actually hold things, and I mean, it's never going to haul like a truck, but I mean, I can get groceries comfortably and get people in and out of the vehicle just fine. I also like some of the, what I consider to be newer bells and whistles that I've never really had on the vehicle before. I mean, I've had them in rental cars that I've rented, but I've never actually owned a vehicle with a lot of these features, such as the smart key entry. Which I know it's gimmicky, but I mean, I like the fact that if I'm coming up to the Prius and I've got, things, I'm holding things like coats, hats, whatever, I can just, as long as I've got the key fob on me, I can just put my hand behind the door handle and the vehicle will unlock. And same thing for getting out. If I've got my hands full, all I have to do is poke the little button on the side of the door and it locks. Pretty nice. Now, I've always kind of bashed on the push button start systems just because, again, I feel it's a gimmick, and if that system breaks down, it can be a pain in the butt to kind of figure out and diagnose. And if it breaks down, well, you're obviously not getting your vehicle to start. But it is kind of unique and nice to have to a point, I guess. One thing I find interesting about the Prius is just the way the interior is done. The dash is, except for the multifunction screen, the dash is just very barren but well thought out, well designed. Um, I like the energy monitor because to a point it can tell you what your car is doing when it comes to energy. Like, are you running on your engine? Are you running off the battery? Is the regenerative system kicking in because you're slowing down or you're on the brakes? That kind of thing. Now, unfortunately, one way you can tell that this car is from '09 is the nav system. It still relies on DVDs, which my car obviously doesn't have, but I just use my phone for navigation. The only thing that sucks about this car, honestly, is the limited info that you get from the gauge cluster. Literally, all it tells you is your speed, what gear you're in, and when it comes to gear, like are you drive reverse, the B mode or whatever, and your odometer and the obvious idiot lights. To me, I just feel like that's just too little info. Like, you don't know, like, what your oil pressure is, you don't know how, if your engine is running hot or cold. It's just weird to have such little information available to you. But at least the speedometer is, like, right there in front of you, so you're not having to look for it, or, I mean, you can have your hands anywhere on the steering wheel and you still know how fast you're going. Kinda cool. The other weird big gimmicky thing that I feel about the Prius is just the gear shifter. It's weird. Like, you bump it into a gear and it kind of just spring loaded comes back to a neutral position. I'm used to cars where once you put it in gear, the indicator is at that gear. So I mean, for some reason you're just driving along and you're not sure what gear the car is in. You actually have to look up at the dash. But it is what it is. I guess it's one of those electric car things, or maybe it's just a Prius thing. I don't know. The other thing that I find interesting too is when you put the vehicle in reverse, you get a beeping sound. But the problem is, the beeping is on the inside of a car. I would think with this being, if you're low speed and backing, you're more than likely going to be under battery power, which means this car is making no noise. You would think if you're backing a very quiet car like this, there'd be beeping on the outside, but there isn't. So I don't know if maybe it's just the beeping's just there to warn the driver that, hey, you're going in reverse. Again, probably a Prius thing, I don't know. I just find it odd. And the other thing I'm still getting used to about this Prius, and I've had it for a little over a week now, it's just how quiet it is. Like, it's quiet enough, like, even with the engine running, you don't really hear it unless you're on top of it, but especially when you're running on battery alone. It's almost spooky how this car makes, like, darn near no noise. I mean, I'm gonna show you, like, look at the car in motion now. The only thing you're hearing is the tires under the gravel. You hear nothing else from the car. It's just interesting. But But despite all these odd quirks and stuff, I honestly have to say the Prius so far isn't a bad car. I mean, the fuel economy that I'm getting out of this thing is great. I mean, because of my commute, I'm still having to refuel this thing about every 2 or 3 days just because it's a small tank. I'm pretty sure that the fuel tank itself is only like maybe 8 gallons. But it is pretty nice when I'm only having to spend about 10 to 15 bucks to refill the tank when versus like when I have a truck and had to refill about the same frequency every 2 to 3 days and I was spending 60. So the Prius, I like it because it saves money and it's just, to me, it's just a nice, well-built car. It's honestly one of the most comfortable cars I've had driving-wise. I think, looking back to at least the cars that I've had, the only other vehicle that I've had that came that close to the comfort that I have out of the Prius is probably my Buick Century. I mean, I don't really have like the various aches and pains in my back and my shoulders that I had, driving this thing long distance like I did out of other cars. So, I mean, despite the fact that I used to joke and crack on these cars a lot, it's honestly not that bad of a car. Again, I've only had it for a couple of weeks now, but it's started growing on me, honestly, so we'll have to see. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and maybe it'll give you a new perspective on the Prius, which, sad to say, I'm pretty sure it's still the butt of a lot of automotive junkies' jokes. You guys have a great day. Hopefully we can all get through this stay-at-home stuff sooner rather than later, and hopefully all stay healthy and stay safe. We'll talk to you next time. Headed to work in the morning, up from Pueblo. Everything that I've got is in my fuel tank. Not to worry though, I'll be fine, because unlike your big old truck, I can make it to next payday, and you'll only make it to the next fuel stop. Yeah, I can make it to next payday, and you'll only get to the next fuel stop.